Hi, everybody. Welcome to the late Saturday, early Sunday morning edition of the L2C Sports Final. This is our show. And hopefully, we've gotten rid of all the tech issues. And you'll be able to see this little promenade of fun, thrills, and excitement, all for you, the home viewer. Well, let's go to it. Gitchy. Yeah. How's your cheese? I need some cheese. It was on your couch there, Mom. Oh boy. All right, let's there we go. All right, kids. Okay. Oops. All right, we're getting ready to get you some sports news. So let's get to the sports news that we know you love to use, folks. On for a big hora. All right, we got a lot here and deep to do. All right, let's go for it. Let's get you all the sports news that you can do. So if you're ready, let's go to it. And yes, right now we do have, for those of you who are MMA fans, it's time to kick it with UFC 250 live from Vegas, baby. Yes. Amanda Nunes versus Felicia Spencer. The fight card update and everything. That's right. We bring it to you. And we do it perfectly. The UFC returns to pay-per-view tonight with UFC 250 from the organization's Apex facility in Vegas. In the main event, the greatest fighter in the history of women's mixed martial arts and current two-division champion Amanda Nunes puts a featherweight belt on the line against Felicia Spencer, plus a trio of bantamweight bouts with huge implications on the 134-pound division are on tap with tons of star power. Former champ Cody Garbrandt takes on Rafael Asuncicao. In the co-main event, Aljamain Sterling faces Corey Sandhagen in a crucial feature bout in Sugar Sean O'Malley. That was former WEC champ Eddie Whelan to kick off the pay-per-view show. Let's give you the results of all the action that has taken place right now. And here we go. Herbert Burns defeated Evan Durham. Excuse me. Can we try that one more time? Thank you. Herbert Burns defeated Evan Dunham via first-round submission with a rear naked choke. Devin Clark defeated Alonzo Menefield via unanimous decision. 3 judges. Here's the judges' decision. 30-27, 29-28, 29-28. Alex Perez defeated Jusir Formiga via first-round TKO with leg kicks. Mackie Patolo defeated Charles Bird via second-round TKO punches. Cody Stammen defeated Brian Kelleher via unanimous decision, 30-27, 30-27, and 30-27. Ian Heinstich defeated Jared Mearshart via first-round TKO punches. Bam. Alex Kekariz defeated Chase Hooper via unanimous decision, 30-27, 30-27, and 30-27. Sean O'Malley defeated Eddie Wineland via first-round knockout punch. Boom. Neil Magny defeated Anthony Rocco via unanimous decision, 30-27, 30-27, and 29-28. And here we go. And the last little thing before our two co-main events get started in the old tap danceroo. Aljamain Sterling defeated Corey Sandhagen via first-round submission, the rear naked choke. The other two the bantamweight division, Cody Garbrandt versus Rafael Asunskau, and the women's featherweight title, the champ Amanda Nunes will put it on the line against Felicia Spencer, and that is your UFC 250 card with the results as well. Of course, tomorrow we'll give you all the other results, or Bobby Strauss will have more on his little rock and roll of sports called Sports Central USA. So we do that. So let's give you some more news in the world of sports. Some more sports news, yes. We just seen Erica win the women's round, and now it's the men's turn. The NBA replay. Oh, this is fun. Earlier this week, both the Board of Governors and the players voted to move ahead with the NBA's return to play proposal. The wheels are now officially in motion for games to resume on July 31st at Disney World in Orlando. 22 teams will be in attendance. They will play 8 regular season games each before proceeding to the finals. Now that a plan is in place and everyone has agreed to a format and schedule, the league can start figuring out some of the details. Among them is what to do in case of injury or a positive COVID-19 test. Players will be tested nightly, and the league has made it clear that things will move along even if a player comes down with the coronavirus. But those players will be quarantined for at least 7 days and possibly up to 14, according to a report from ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski and Bobby Marks. Because of that risk and the potential competitive disadvantage, teams are expected to be allowed to sign replacement players. Negotiations are currently underway to determine which players will be eligible to be signed. If COVID-19 or a serious injury strikes a team during training camps or the 8 regular season seeding games, there's expected to be no limitations on the number of players a team could sign to replace those lost, but there would be restrictions on those in the pool of 8 players, sources say. Eligible replacement players will likely have to be signed in the NBA or G League or beyond the training camps contracts this season, sources said. Under these restrictions, for example, no team could sign veteran Jamal Crawford, who went unsigned all season, or an international player. The league office has discussed the possibility with its teams that there could be a requirement that those players replaced for COVID-19 or injury would become ineligible to return for the balance of this season. Now, while this is a necessary allowance, teams may not actually take advantage of this rule. For one, the health and safety measures would mean a big delay between signing a player and then actually being able to help the team. They would need to be quarantined after arriving in Orlando and then have to get up to speed with what the team is doing in very short order. Now, considering the pool of available players is going to be pretty shallow, it may just make more sense to wait for their player to return from injury and or sickness. It's not to say no teams will add players if necessary, just that there's some real thought that will go into the decision. Now, because of logistical issues with replacing a player, teams are pushing the league to allow two-way players to join the quarantine bubble in Orlando from the start. As it stands, the league does not want them there until the playoffs in order to limit the number of people inside. However, two-way players will offer a much simpler alternative for teams looking for roster flexibility. Stay tuned for that. All right, we continue on. Let's see, we already did the Kansas, Louisville, and Arizona might be next for the NCAA as their internal investigations continue. A bad day for Oklahoma State, usually doubles, triples, or quadruples. As a good day for Kansas and vice versa, considering the two schools are Big Ten rivals from bordering states, but not this time. No, sir. Because bad news for Oklahoma State received from the NC2A on Friday suggests even worse news is coming for Kansas. Friday was truly punishment day. The NCAA hit Oklahoma State with a 1-year postseason ban, 3 years probation, a fine in excess of $10,000, 3 scholarship losses over the next 3 years, and several penalties that will restrict or reduce recruiting opportunities because former assistant Lamont Evans accepted $22,000 from 2 financial advisors after agreeing to push student athletes to eventually enter into a business relationship with them. One level 1 violation brought that hammer. So if you're Kansas and you're sitting on notice of allegations featuring 5 level 1 violations, how are you feeling right now? You feel good? You feel like a winner? No.
But thanks to Remote Smart Parking Assist, no problem for the all-new Hyundai Sonata. It can pull itself in.
Now, before we go any further, let it be known that the NCAA has forever been widely inconsistent when it comes to the cases it pursues and how it punishes violators of rules, so consider that duly noted.
Visit buyhyundai.com today.
Nothing is ever guaranteed. Presidents said often do not matter, but that being said, it's impossible to digest what just happened to OSU and feel good about things if you're connected to Kansas, South Carolina, TCU, NC State, USC, Arizona, LSU, Auburn, Louisville, Creighton, or Alabama, all of which had staff members exposed as rule breakers by the FBI. I mean, if Oklahoma State got hit this hard for 1 level 1 violation committed, imagine what's going to happen when those that have had more than 1 violation. I mean, imagine how that school is going to feel. Auburn had an assistant coach, Chuck Pearson, arrested for more or less doing the same thing Evans was caught doing. So did Arizona, so did USC. So if the NCAA follows the precedent just set, and who knows if it will, but if it does, then Auburn, USC, and Arizona at the very least can expect postseason bans. And again, don't forget that Kansas is facing 5 level 1 violations compared to Oklahoma State's 1. And that LSU's coach was on a wiretap talking about a strong-ass offer made in violation of NC2A rules. And that Louisville was on probation when it had an assistant knowingly participate in a pay-for-play scheme involving former 5-star prospect Brian Bowen. And while Oklahoma State says it will appeal, well, you never know what's going to happen now, do you? Wabowski. Okay, we're going to go and take a bit of a break. I'll be back in a moment. Stay tuned.
Man, the Ultimate Tag Arena can be brutal. Austin, how are you feeling right now? Honestly, Thurman's been the greatest guy, and we've been supporting one another, so I couldn't be happier to lose that better guy, you know? Thurman, once you realized you won, you were absolutely overcome with emotions. Why is this so important to you? It's important to me because I lost my dad a couple years ago, and I went through the darkest period of my life, and my mom helped me get out of it. And I just remember what my dad said when I was running, always give 110%. And I gave it. You certainly worked for it, and you earned it. This has been a truly special evening. Erica uses her athletic prowess to escape the keep and make off with the prize. And Thurman, who dedicated this
Okay, we're back.
His father, you guys are tonight's champions.
Ping. Yeah, we're back.
Congratulations to them and all of our players. Give it up to these guys.
Anyway, let me just move my
We'll see you next time.
snack over here,
Ultimate Tag.
and we'll play this out.
I'm here to take the bragging rights home.
Now, the NFL, you're going to love this. The NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell have taken a hardline stance against racism and social injustice years after Colin Kaepernick took his first knee in 2016 in silent protests of police brutality, a protest joined by many other players around the league. The death of George Floyd, which resulted in the arrest of one Minneapolis police officer on a charge of second-degree murder, and 3 others for aiding and abetting second-degree murder, thrust the NFL players' protest back onto the center stage amid impassioned demonstrations that literally circled the globe. When Drew Brees responded to a question about the NFL players' protest by making the issue about respecting the flag, the backlash, puppy dogs. Backlash from teammates and others around the league and the sports community resulted in the New Orleans Saints quarterback issuing multiple apologies for insensitive comments that completely missed the mark. Goodell released a video apology with the admission that the league was wrong for not listening to NFL players earlier. No kidding! A statement that Black Lives Matter, an encouragement of peaceful protests, and a confession that without black players there will be no NFL. It's a moment in time many believed would never arrive for the NFL, and it was driven by a powerful video pieced together by wide receiver Michael Thomas in conjunction with a league employee who believed he'd be fired for his hand in designing it. Thomas, who found himself at odds with his own quarterback, only a day prior, opened his Instagram DMs to an unexpected message from Brendan Minter, an NFL social media staffer, and it read as follows. Hey, Mike, want to help you create content to be heard around the league. I'm an NFL social employee, and I'm embarrassed by how the league has been silent this week. How about how the NFL as a league has been silent since Kaepernick took his first knee? The NFL hasn't condoned racism. The NFL hasn't said that Black Lives Matter. I want to help you put the pressure on and arm you with a video that expresses your voice and what you want from the league. Give me a holler if you're interested in working together. Thanks, bro. Thomas responded, and 24 hours later, a message on behalf of the NFL and its players became a viral video. And behind the scenes, however, Minter was carrying a very real anxiety about it all, according to the Yahoo Sports report. He wanted to push the league into action, but knew he could be unemployed for doing so, considering the DM to Thomas was breaking NFL protocol. While Minter was hard at work crafting a script for Thomas and the other players involved, and subsequently while fielding their video submissions, he finally told the boss of his plan, who then set it up the ladder. He was then summoned to a Zoom call with the league's higher-ups and was ready to lose his job on that call. Instead, the league relented and allowed him to complete his work. That's all it was. And one day after the Thomas-led video was released, Goodell himself followed up with a message that directly salutes the fight Kaepernick took on head first 4 years ago. While the NFL stopped short of mentioning his name, it did finally align itself with the protesting players, at least for a time being. In a matter of only a few days, Thomas has now been one of the driving forces behind apologies from both Breeze and Goodell, with the former also defending his apologies in a response to President Donald Trump. All major steps forward in the battle against social injustice on the platform of professional football. All eyes are now on the NFL to see what it does next, and in particular, how it would treat players who choose to kneel in 2020. You know, this whole thing wouldn't have started if the NFL would have acknowledged that Colin Kaepernick was right. There is a problem. It's a major problem, and it needs to be ripped out, put out, and trashed. Put in the trash, I should say. Maybe, and I say this with all honesty, maybe the National Football League, its players, and maybe Roger Goodell, in particular, Roger Goodell should show some guts, some cojones, and go, you're wrong. Colin, you're coming back to the NFL. Name your team. Name your price. So, if you want to know if Roger Goodell might bring Colin Kaepernick back, well, that's one way to do a mea culpa. Have Colin Kaepernick, reinstate Kaepernick to the NFL. So there you go. They had the Santa Anita Derby, and Honor AP secured a spot in the Kentucky Derby on Saturday with a huge come-from-behind win in the Santa Anita Derby. The victory was propelled by a massive push on the final turn of the race, where he practically left his competition in the dust. For horse's jockey Mike Smith, this victory was a redemption. Honor AP had raced one of the Santa Anita competitors before, Authentic, and had come 2 1/4 lengths behind him in the March 7th San Felipe Stakes. This time it was Authentic who finished behind the John Shrev's trained colts. And there you go. Congratulations.
DMZ Pop Quiz. What's Tom Cruise's favorite M. Night Shyamalan movie? Answer: we have no clue.
Okay, do we have... Oh, we do have the NBA playoff picture for you if you're interested in knowing. And I do believe we do. Oh, wait a minute. We already did that report yesterday. We don't need to repeat it. So let's give you some major news in the world of sports broadcasting. And you folks can play the old Welcome Back Carter theme for Chris Cuthbert. That's right. Cuthbert has left his home with the Bell Media and ESPN-owned TSN to rejoin the CBC and actually to join Hockey Night in Canada on the CBC. One of the best-known Canadian sportscasters has changed networks, and he's returning to one of the properties he was first known for. Chris Cuthbert has been broadcasting nationally since joining the CBC in '84, first as an anchor and sometime play-by-play voice for Hockey Night in Canada's Western Regional games. He worked at the CBC through 2005, covering hockey, the Olympics, the CFL, and more, but was let go in February 2005 during the 2004-2005 lockout, leading him to join TSN months later. There, Cuthbert has been the network's lead CFL announcer, one of their main hockey voices, and he also called games for NBC, but now he's moving to Rogers Sportsnet and returning to Hockey Night in Canada, which still airs on CBC, albeit it's produced by Sportsnet these days because they hold the Canadian rights to the NHL. Now, wow. Incredible. But now that there's good news, we got some bad news. TSN now has to look for a new lead voice. There's no way you can fill it. Rod Black, current play-by-play voice of TSN's number 2 team with Dwayne Ford, has been calling CFL games for decades, but a lot of fans of the league are not fans of him, as any glance at Twitter during a CFL game will show you. Fellow longtime TSN president Rod Smith has been doing some CFL play-by-play in the last few years, especially on the CFL version of Thursday Night Footy. And many fans are high on him, but he has plenty of other duties between his SportsCenter work and his work as studio host on the pregame, intermission, and postgame coverage of the CFL on TSN panels. So it seems likely that TSN will be bringing in at least one new prominent CFL voice, but it's unclear if it'll be for the number 1 slot to replace Cuthbert alongside Glenn Suter, or if they'll promote Black or Smith from within and then hire a new number 2 or studio host. Of course, there's no immediate decision required on the CFL front. In a normal year, the first regular season of a CFL game would be in a week or so, but thanks to the COVID-19 pandemic, the latest update from the league is that the earliest possible return date is September. There's a whole lot of uncertainty about if any sort of 2020 season will happen and what it might look like, and even some uncertainty about the league's future following their request for government funding. So assigning CFL and TSN broadcast pairings isn't high on the priority chart, but it is notable to see a shakeup there, as Cuthbert had held the unquestioned number 1 CFL spot at TSN for so long. It's also notable for what it means on the hockey front. Particularly, Sportsnet now has yet another top hockey commentator. In addition to his CBC work, Cuthbert has also called Olympic hockey and NHL games for TSN nationally before Sportsnet 2. The national rights begin with the 2014-2015 season, regional since then, as well as NHL games for NBC over the past few years. If the NHL is able to resume their season as planned, Sportsnet CBC coverage of the postseason tournament will feature another prominent voice. This isn't as big of an immediate impact for TSN here or there, as they only have regional NHL rights at the moment, and unlike U.S. regional networks, they're likely not getting much in the way of even early round postseason rights. So likely don't need to make big hockey changes just yet. Now, overall, it is understandable why Cuthbert wants to return to a network with a top NHL rights package. NHL is the biggest sports property in Canada. And while calling Olympic hockey moments like Sidney Crosby's 2010 Golden Goal and other NHL action for TSN and NBC has its appeal, doing top-level NHL playoff games on Sportsnet CBC is hard to pass up. But this is an interesting move, especially for the top CFL vacuum it leaves the TSN. How they're going to fill it remains to be seen.
Our legal and negative circumstances.
Boom, chicka, boom, chicka, boom, boom, boom. Boom, chicka, boom, chicka, boom.
Driver and credit restoration. 20 years driving without no license. Nervous and paralyzed. Worrying about if I'm going to jail for charges or anything.
In Arizona, thank you. An Arizona sports talk station removed a 5-minute discussion about racism and white privilege from an online upload of their morning show. Wow. Former NFL lineman Joe Stasiak suspended by an Indianapolis radio station over ignorant and hurtful racial content. Sports Illustrated publisher Maven announces a salary reduction as employees call for shutdown of Blue Lives Matter website. Ooh. Oh, and how about this? NBC's going to have their first big IndyCar race on prime time in 7 years. Ooh, interesting, you say. After nearly 2.5 months since they were supposed to run their first race, the NTT Indy Series, or IndyCar Series, is beginning their 2020 season on Saturday night, SATURDAY night. Normally, the NTT IndyCar Series would be close to the halfway point in the season, but due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the schedule looks vastly different. Prestigious races like Grand Prix of Long Beach have been canceled for the first time in its 45-year history, while Indy has been delayed until August 23rd. Nevertheless, IndyCar is set to begin again, starting with the Genesis 300 at Texas Motor Speedway this Saturday night at 8 on NBC. After considering the currently light sports schedule, it was decided to move the race broadcast to NBC, making it the first time in an IndyCar race.
Derek had a birthday party for his kid, and it was supposed to be outside, but it started raining, and so we had to go inside for
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm getting a little sleepy. So, let's
Those dinosaurs? Those leaves? They look like reindeers to us, Gail.
okay, we're going to
You go around the planet every 90 minutes.
Leland Melvin, famous astronaut. I say to him, this is a wild world right now. Give us some
okay, let's
astronaut wisdom.
We had this needle with the first female commander, Russians, Germans, French, African American, Asian American, all breaking bread at 17,500 miles. So if we can do that as a civilization, working together off planet, not fighting, we can get our crap together down here.
Don't you guys want to see them do something new, though? Like, we went to space in the 60s. What's the difference in what they did?
all right.
It's hard to please, man. Space is boring.
They left the atmosphere, bro.
Yeah, change the channel.
Okay, in Albania, Carrick defeated Orklo 1-0. Dynamo Tirana over Borelli 2-0. Elbasani over Iria Kruja 4-2. Koplik and Ignanita Rosenheim 1-up. Schenkoli and Divoli also 1-up. Austria Typico Bundesliga regulation group. Mattersburg over Admira 2-0. Tyrol over Altak 1-1. Australia Vienna and St. Polten tied at 1. In Australia 2 Liga, FC Juniors defeated Wacker Innsbruck. If you Wacker Innsbruck, it will hurt. 2-1. Grazier over Lustenau 1-up. In Belarus's Vishar Vizhaya Liga.
Be sure to line your tub with some high thread count sheets.
And
Extra cozy. And don't forget
let's see. Islak and Rook Brest tied at 1. Neman over Slava Moiser 3-1. Dynamo Brest over Minsk 6-1 in the Belarusian Cup.
I didn't think this through.
Come on, at least she's not having you board up the place.
And you want to try to board up the window that's in that room if you can.
Oh boy.
All right. Oh, man. All right, now about 34 minutes into the show. That means we got about 10 minutes remaining before we call it a night.
Oh, I thought you wanted to use it as a weapon.
Okay, by the way, Dynamo Brest once again, FC Minsk 6-1. Belarus in the Belarusian Cup. Dnepr Mogliev defeated Bumpram Gomel 6-0. Sputnik over Osiapovici 3-1. Lita over Militar Zukovic 1-2. Chimix Velasquez over Pinel stuff. Let's see, 3-1, 2-1.
My favorite part is that it's already good enough on its own, but now the internet has taken the video
Okay.
and they're dubbing over different beats to her singing.
Let's see, Bulgaria, Botev Pladiv and Botev Vrasa. Vrasa wins over Pladiv 1-0. Ruse and Arda went to a goose egg tie. And Vitosha yeah. Okay, in Burundi, Ruzinsko Rukinzo defeated Algin Noir 2-1. And if you want the other scores, don't worry, we will give them to you as soon as possible. Okay, the Greece Super League regulation group. Penionos Rivolos 1-0. In the OTP Bank Liga, Pax over Zadori 2-0. Okay, wow. Okay. Man, I'm about ready to throw down here. If you want the rest of the scores, go to scoreboard.com. No. It's all right. Let's get to it. In the Czech Republic baseball was Prague over Brno 4-2. Trebek over Prague 7-4. Lansko over Prague 8-9. Ostrava over Hiroshi Brno. Okay. Let's do this properly. Czech Republic. Prague defeated Brno 4-2. Trebek defeated Prague 7-4. Blanksko defeated Prague defeated Blanksko 9-8. Ostrava spanked Brno 14-6. And Technika Brno defeated Sabat Prague 19-0. Japan NPB preseason. It was Recton Golden Eagles 8-3 winners over the Chibalati Marines. Chunchi Dragons a 7-5 victory over the Cebu Lions. The Nippon Ham Fighters a 5-4 victory over the Ohama Bay Stars. And the Omiri Giants over the Yakut Swallows 8-4. Hiroshima Carp over the York Buffaloes 10-6. Hanshin Tigers over the Fukuoka Silverhawks 6-2. In South Korea, the KBO. Here we go. Wyverns over the Lions 6-4. Giants over the Swan 1-0. Heroes over Twins 5-4. Dinos over Eagles 14-2. And the Bears over the Tigers 4-3. And the Kowloon Tigers in the Futures League. Kowloon Heroes took out the Hanwha Eagles, ended up in a 1-1 tie. KT Wiz Swan over the LU Twins 2-4. Samsa, the Lions sequel, lost to the Kia Tigers 4-2, and Sangmu over Wyverns 7-2. Taiwan CFBL first stage. China Trust Brothers 14, Union Lions 3, Fubon Guardians 9, Rakuten Monkeys 6, and in the minor league version, it was the Rakuten Monkeys losers to China Trust Brothers 9-6. And we got 5 minutes. And
strange. I mean, it was obviously they have menus. I went to a restaurant actually. Same thing. Sat at a restaurant last night. It was kind of weird. They have a menu for this place. No menus because they don't want you to touch anything. So they had a QR code on the table, and that's how you got the menu on your phone. This place posted the menu in on a window. Charles went to a fancier restaurant. It's Olive Garden's pretty much the same. Did you get a huge tip? I'm a very profligate tipper. We would totally be impressed if we knew what that word meant. Is it crowded? I mean, were there people there?
Did you wear a mask during the dinner? Did you feel like, oh my God, I missed the moment?
We are treating it like the Armstrong. A little bit like, oh my God, did you get out of the lunar capsule? As for Katie, she added, feeling some normalcy was extra special and truly revitalizing.
there we go.
Yes, we can all use a little normalcy right now.
Okay, we got about
And some Olive Garden breadsticks.
4 minutes left, so we will see you tomorrow night. Full 45-minute show, just like this one. And we hope you enjoy the broadcast. Again, it's work in progress, much like my hair, and I will be so glad when I will be able to go to someplace and cut it. Have somebody cut it for like $10. I trust my friends like Angie's kids, Yuki and Jay. But boy, am I glad that the whole situation is almost over. But those of you who protested, first of all, God bless. But you start putting everyone at risk. Okay, time to let's get you some hi there's. Okay, and then we'll say our good nights and get over with some of the goodies. Hello, Linda Steele. Hello, Phil Monahan. Hello, Marley Arthur Wiley, Jeff Rollo, Lion Lemon, George Templeton, Dale Stanke, all my good friends in Sapod. Nellie K9, Mrs. Nellie K9. Roman Ronin, hi there. Hello, how are you? So, what is going on? Well, we're about to wrap it up. Okay, Angela Peterson, Christina Peterson, Yuki Tanaka, Jay the Brain Man, Anne Marie Man, Matthew Nichols, Jerry Nichols, Nancy Nichols, Zach Burton, happy birthday, brother. And we say hello to Ricky Pickrell, Michael Pickrell, Tony Pickrell, Yvonne Pickrell, We also say hi, Talon Oberoff, Bobby Langford, Brenda Dixon. We also say hi, Stewart Wilkerson, Bruno Renoir, Maria Liu, Amy Hayes, Rita Hayes, the man himself, Morris Hayes, and Miss Lingo, always and forever, Stacy Hayes. Say hello to Matt Zivich, to Truth Martini, Crystal Hart, Zariah Fidel, Chris French, Chris Lewis, Kimberly Wells, how you doing? Butch Cassidy, Robert G.R. Monk, Micah Cram, Gary Cram, Samantha Phillips, Samantha O'Neill, and Casey Ann, Marley Arthur Wiley, how you doing? Harold Robbins, Dwight Myra Duan, Manuela Marchiani, Mike Sparks, Sandra Vanessa Douglas, and Sabrina Kyle, Andre Ison, Tyke Prado, Brandon Metzler, Rihanna Johnson, Chad Nappy, Stephen Miller, Patty Riley, Keith Goodwin, Brian Mann, Linda Miller, and Betty Osterhouse, and a whole bunch of other folks. Folks, we have done it. To all my friends on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, it has been a great night, sort of an impassionate one, and it is literally all over. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for caring. And we'll be back tomorrow night at 11 p.m. Eastern Time to give you a whole lot of scores and more. This has been a Mystifying Creativity production in association with the L2C Sports Department and the L2C Media Network. I am Steve with X-Man Baxley. And in closing, we always say, may your favorite team always be a winner. And good night, America, whomever and wherever you are. Now let's end this thing and hopefully get it all good and straight. Good night, everybody.